now to the South Island, where the government's answered a Mayday call from Timaru-based seafarers who were set to be replaced with overseas workers. Claire Sherwood is Newstalk ZB's South Island News Director. So what does that mean? They have answered the Mayday call and done what?
So effectively, 32 workers on board a Wholesome cement carrier had been told that they were out of a job. A month before Christmas, they got issued their termination notices, and that was because the company was deciding to lay off the Kiwi workers and the Kiwi crew and instead swap that for a foreign crew to come in from overseas and basically take their jobs. We reported a few weeks ago now that the Maritime Union was, I guess, lobbying for the Minister of, and he wears a few hats down here, Minister of South Island, the Rangitata MP, so a local MP for them, and also the Associate Transport Minister, all of those caps worn by James Meagher. They wanted him to step in and put a stop to this. They went hard, they contacted media, and they were lobbying for that to happen. Basically, we have now had an update from the minister that he has listened to their calls and he has indeed stopped the Nova Algoma carrier from being able to operate in New Zealand waters, but with a foreign crew. Of course, the Maritime Union is ecstatic at the update. They say that it's great to see that the government and the minister have listened to the fact that having Kiwi workers and Kiwis in employment is really important. From now, we look to see whether those 32 people will have their termination notices terminated or overturned, and they will in fact get to keep their job. That is yet to be seen. But for now, at least, it's that support of Kiwi workers, which the Maritime Union says is something we need to see more of.
Now, the uni students down in Dunedin have likely vacated for the year, but there is some sign that maybe things are going to improve for their accommodation.
Somewhat. I think, Nadine, you and I were talking about some of those Castle Street flats when this story first emerged, and that was that 53 student flats were being looked at by MB and the tenancy team to effectively suss out what the situation was and whether some of these young people were paying big money to live in really substandard flats. Some of the pictures showing on the screen are from actual Castle Street flats. In some instances, young people paying up to $250 a week for a single room and what is a damp and run-down rental. So MB came out and they said, we're going to do a full sweep of these flats and get a sort of a situation, a picture of the situation, I guess, and crack down on these landlords. They've done that. They inspected 53. More than 20 of them have been facing enforcement action or been told that they need to sort of sort out the accommodation offerings in order to be compliant with the Healthy Home Standards. The majority of them have done so. There's been significant replacements of gutters. There's been at least 2 massive renovations of bathrooms. And in some cases, the tenants have had their rents reduced to be more in line with what they are realistically living in. MB says that there is still one property that is potentially facing further enforcement action. Why that is, we're not sure. Perhaps the landlord unwilling to make the changes. But either way, I guess support for students that they should be able to live in clean and healthy homes and that the government and MB will support them if they're not.
Yeah, really important that they live in clean and healthy homes, and then it's over to them to keep them clean, which is the trickier bit. Thank you, Claire. Claire Sherwood, Newstalk ZB South Island News Director.